And now we will be going in a very short time to the press conference live with the team from Annette, a wonderful opening film yesterday, a wonderful ceremony yesterday, a wonderful film to mark that opening. We had a very popular opening ceremony. A lot of people viewed it on the television, on internet, and it was all devoted to the film Annette, directed by Leos CARAX. It's made its mark on the Croisette here in Cannes already. Let's take a look at a bit of very privileged footage here. This is the row I, where the crew from the film is seated. The director, producer, actors and actresses in the film are all on row I. And at the end of the screening, they rise to their feet and receive applause from the audience. As you can see, everybody's there. Even the audience has stood up and is on their feet for the film Annette. The whole room congratulating the film crew. Adam Driver there with the group Sparks, being hugged by the Mael brothers.
Donc Adam Driver, Marion COTILLARD.
Congratulating Leos CARAX, Adam Driver, Marion COTILLARD, Simon HELBERG for the film they've all made together.
Ron et Russell MAEL.
Ron and Russell MAEL constitute GILLIBERT. Sparks, the producer is there. Also,
Adam Driver, donc.
Adam Driver there on your screen. Standing ovation from the audience here in Cannes.
Il réalise vraiment une prestation absolument.
It really has been a great film and wonderful performances from all of the actors, very intense performances.
Et Marion COTILLARD, vous voyez également sur
Marion COTILLARD just on the screen briefly there.
Elle-même aussi ovationnée par le public cannois.
She too is enjoying the standing ovation here in Cannes.
Ce moment très particulier pour une équipe.
It's a very unique experience for a film crew. Always a bit nervous before the screening.
Ce livre-là, à ce moment-là.
And here they're probably a little bit relieved. The film seems to have gone down very well in this huge movie theatre, the Lumière movie theatre. There is Simon HELBERG, who is very well known for the Big Bang Theory. And here we have the group Sparks on the screen. They had the idea for the film. And just behind them, the blonde lady is a singer called Angèle. A standing ovation for Leos CARAX back in Cannes 9 years after Holy Motors. A very impressive film in it.
Demande à Leos CARAX d'accepter le regard de la caméra.
Thierry Frémaux asking Leos to accept all of these cameras facing him.
Voilà, là c'est un peu particulier.
And here we have a rather unusual scene here, which reminds us of the film, a scene in the film, in fact.
Voilà, c'est Cannes.
This is Cannes.
Il se passe des choses.
And in Cannes, things happen that just don't happen anywhere else.
Longue ovation.
A very, very long standing ovation for the opening film at the 74th Cannes Film Festival, directed by Leos CARAX. And the group Sparks wrote all of the music and the songs.
Magnifique de ce film.
Wonderful score for the film. It's a musical, and the actors sing, obviously, in the film. It's a film of light and darkness, a film of contrasts.
Leos CARAX en compétition.
Leos CARAX in the official competition once again here in Cannes, and the audience is lapping it up here. They don't want the team to leave the movie theatre. Adam Driver waving to everybody.
On sent l'émotion aussi de Marion COTILLARD.
They're all very moved. One can see that Marion COTILLARD is particularly moved by this reaction. So there we go. That was a very unique experience that we can share with you every day after each screening. Row I, the row where the crew sits, and we can often read on their faces the relief after their film has been screened for the first time in front of a very large audience. It's a world premiere screening of this film, and it's also opening the 74th Cannes Film Festival. So it's quite a responsibility to be opening this major film festival. So the 74th Cannes Film Festival has started really well with the Leos CARAX's film, and we're going to see him and his crew at the press conference. And now let's take a look at the trailer for the film.
First time I fell in love. Woke up next to the girl and escaped fast and far. But Anne has changed me. What I see in her is obvious. What she sees in me, it's a little more puzzling.
1, 2, 3, 4. So may we start.
There she is.
Annette.
This is my baby.
Excuse me a minute.
Everything will be all right. I promise.
Annette is in Cannes. Annette is in movie theatres here in France, and in a few moments we will be going live to the press conference. The entire crew from Annette is at the press conference. It will kick off live on our TV channel, and then after that, about midday, there will be quite a lot of photo calls on our TV channel. There will be the film, there'll be Mélanie Thierry and the Caméra d'Or crew. The Caméra d'Or jury will be there. Bong Joon-ho, the current Palme d'Or holder with Parasite, will be at a photo call. He's going to be holding a masterclass. And then there will be red carpets. On your screen, you can see the photo call schedules. Val, it's a documentary. And then there will be Ahead's Knee, directed by Nadav Lapid, is in competition. Then there will be the François Ozon film to 6:10. Everything went fine in official competition. And then there will be the Todd Haynes documentary on the Velvet Underground. That red carpet ceremony will be at 10:10 this evening. So you can watch all of these red carpets on television. Sophie Didier will be on the red carpet. There'll be interviews. There'll be snatching a few words from stars as they reach the red carpet. And so thrilling days continue here. We've got 12 days of film festival, and it ends on the 17th of July. But the festival is up and running now, and the press conference for, and it has not yet started. I can't see the crew in the press conference room yet. We're waiting for Leos CARAX, Adam Driver, Marion COTILLARD, Simon HELBERG also. to answer the questions of journalists. At the beginning of the press conferences, the photographers can take close-ups, which is why there are quite a lot of people standing at the front of the room there. And then when the crew from Annette start to talk, answer questions, then the floor clears a little bit. So we're looking forward to hearing Leos CARAX. He hasn't been in Cannes for 9 years. In fact, he hasn't made a film in the past 9 years. And so Leos CARAX is keenly awaited by the different journalists. He's a very unique filmmaker here in Cannes. And here in Cannes, it's a magnet for everyone who's interested in the movies. Bong Joon-ho, of course, is going to give his masterclass, which will be keenly attended also. But in the meantime, we will be enjoying a press conference with Leos CARAX, flanked by Marion COTILLARD and Adam Driver in particular.
Donc en compétition officielle. La dernière fois, c'était avec Mal de Pierre de Nicole Garcia.
So they both Adam Driver and Marion COTILLARD have been in competition before. In 2017, Marion COTILLARD was here with a Desplechin film. The first time she was in competition was Rust and Bone by Jacques Audiard. And she's back in competition this year, in 2021, with the film Annette, directed by Leos CARAX. And we really do hope that they're going to turn it very soon. Oh yes, here they are. Let's go to the press conference live.
Si vous voulez simplement une photo de groupe. This way, please. Over here, thank you. Avec les producteurs, peut-être. Merci beaucoup. Si vous voulez prendre vos places, please take your places.
Bienvenue sur Ciné Plus.
Si vous voulez regagner vos places, please take your places. Welcome to the press conference for the Cannes Film Festival's opening night film, and what an opening it is. In competition, Annette. We're thrilled to have so many of the creative forces behind the film with us this morning. I'll introduce them starting at the far end of the table. This is his first film in Cannes, the film's producer, Paul-Dominique, VACHARASINTHU. Next to me, a familiar face into Cannes. This year he has no less than 2 films in competition with Bergman's Island, Charles GILLIBERT, producer. In the lovely pink polo, a cult figure from his 279 appearances in The Big Bang Theory, in the role of the conductor, Simon HELBERG. Back at this side, 2 brothers who are the most prolific and influential band of the last half-century. They're the subject of Edgar Wright's current documentary, The Sparks Brothers, the musicians, the composers, and scriptwriters of the film, a.k.a. Sparks, Ron MAEL and Russell MAEL. Marion COTILLARD set a record a few years back at the film festival with 6 films in 5 years in competition in the role of Anne, Marion COTILLARD. And finally, he's been electrifying the festival since his first feature in 1984, Boy Meets Girls, the phenomenally gifted director, co-scripter, scriptwriter, and wizard, Leos CARAX. There are a number of questions, so I'm going to start. We'll kick things off with the first question in the middle.
I'm a journalist from Japan. Thank you for your great film. Several countries, including Japan, are involved in this film. Please tell us how important international co-production is to you. Question to Leos. Thank you.
And perhaps the producers could weigh in on that as well.
You find does it work? Yes. It works? Oh. Japan is special because there's a man in Japan who's been helping me since almost the start, since my second film. I always call him Ken, but he's Kenzo, and I don't know his name, but we've been friends since the 80s. So that's all I know. The rest is, I get money from any place I can, but this man in Japan is special for me. So he helped Annette, and he helped all my films.
Et les producteurs pour le financement, enfin.
And the producers for the financing?
We are talking about Kenzo Horikoshi.
Horikoshi.
Who has been very important too for us, and the possibility to buy back the rights, because this film has a long history, and some people were involved at a very early stage in the food very hard for this film, like Caroline Champetier, the DOP who is here in front of us. Yeah, we just came on board 3 years ago, and I mean, just by trusting Leos, we had the possibility to start the project with the help of Paul-Dominique.
Thank you, Charles, for pointing out that we have with us Leo's longtime collaborator, the director of photography, Caroline Champetier, who is here to answer any questions as well if you would like to ask her. Next question, please. Sur le côté droit.
Here.
À droite, on the right out of the stage.
Grandesso Federico, Xinhua News Agency. A question for Marion COTILLARD. How did you prepare on the set? How was this experience for you in the set, also with the director? Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Well, prepare on the set, I came prepared on set. I mean, as much as I could. The specificity of this movie is that it's a musical, but all the singing is live. So, well, obviously we had a training during preparation because the difficulty is that when you sing, and usually when you do a musical, you record the songs in the studio, and then you lip sync on set. There it was live, so it means that the sound of the singing would be changed by every movement of the body, and we have actually a lot of action while singing. So the preparation for the singing was slightly different than any other project that involves singing. So I trained singing, moving a lot, like lying down or walking, running, bending. So that was an interesting way to live the singing. But what is amazing is that you can explore the little accidents of not being able to breathe or not being able to like sing properly, and that was actually interesting what it created.
Lovely. Another question behind the camera on the right.
Hello, this is Matic Smajcem from RTV Slovenia. I have a question for Ron and Russell MAEL. You've been making and writing music for over 50 years now, and you've explored pop music from all possible angles and genres. So I would just like to know if you've ever felt that you've reached the limit of what you can do within that 4-minute pop song structure, or are there still areas where you would like to go in the future, including these more conceptual projects like The Seduction of Ingmar Bergman and this one? Thank you.
Well, the reason that we're really fascinated by the marriage of music and film is it is a way for us to kind of stretch what we're normally doing. I mean, we'll never leave just doing discrete 3- and 4-minute songs, but to work in a narrative musical way within a film structure is something that kind of stretches different muscles than you would use when you're just working on film and songs that are typical, if there's a typical Sparks album. But in particular, this project and the demands and, you know, just the idea of a collaborative process as opposed to a basic dictatorship when we're working by ourselves, but film is always a collaborative process, and that it's a learning experience is both for your attitude in what you're doing and then just the craft of it.
Simon, I have a question. You share with the festival's artistic director, Thierry Frémaux, a passion for martial arts. Was it frustrating?
You want me to fight him? Is that what it is?
No,
we will fight.
Were you frustrated not to be able to fight back against that Marine, your co-star?
I had no chance with Adam. When he picked me up, I actually was afraid he was going to launch me across the pool into the bushes. Despite what you see on screen, he's rather big. Yeah, I just had to submit.
Thank you. A question on the left.
Bonjour, good morning. I'm Alessandra De Tommasi from Lego, Italy. My question is to Madame Marion COTILLARD. I would like to ask you, since this movie is also about fame, the lack of power, do you think that on artistic level a person can be crushed under the pressure of failure and can totally destroy their lives? And if Mr. HELBERG would like to add something, I would love that. Thank you.
Well, for me, it's more about the need of recognition than fame. Actually, what the characters are going through, and the need of recognition. We all have it. We need to be recognized by our parents and our families, and our friends to find our place. And so I thought this aspect of the movie was very interesting, and it was very interesting for me to build the character, because even if you have recognition, I had the experience to have kind of a big recognition, and then still the need is in me. So it's been a big question in my personal life. Why do you need to be looked at, heard, loved by so many people you don't even know? And how it can build your confidence in a way, but also how it can destroy you, especially when you don't have enough love for yourself. To have this mirror of so many people who are loving you, there's something that can put you in a situation where you think it doesn't fit. It's not logical. And then it can destroy you more. And we've seen many celebrities going down because the picture is there's something wrong about it.
A question in the middle, yes, Madame.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I can add just a second to that. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. I think in the movie explores it so beautifully. Is that need that people who create have, or people who do comedy, or needing a laugh, something that's sort of involuntary, and you can't really. There's a whole song about making people laugh, and you can't really make people laugh. So there's something. I guess there's a struggle between feeling like you're exploiting yourself sometimes for that validation or that spotlight, and I think that's just a struggle that creative people have. Is you can't really do it alone, and sometimes you have to hold on to yourself, I guess, so that you're not just completely corrupted by that desperation for approval.
Thank you. Please, in the center.
Bonjour. C'est une question.
Hello, I have a question. I come from Japan. I'd like to put a question to Leos CARAX. Could you tell us about Michito Yosake, a Japanese producer who produced one of your films? Then is the name in the credits of Annette?
Speak French or English?
As you like.
I can speak English. Oh, I don't know. Michiko, so also someone I've known for 30 years, and I never knew her full name because. So Michiko was the go-between between me and Kenzo, and I owe a lot to both of them. And Michiko, of course, died a year or 2 years ago. And she became a producer. She produced this film we made in Tokyo. That's the story.
Ron and Russell, the film has a long gestation period. What first brought you to the idea of, I don't know if you call it a rock opera, but a longer musical project? And how did you come to Leos, and what happened along the way?
Well, we had wanted to try to do sort of a half answers to the other question earlier about trying to explore other ways to work within pop music, and just trying to push what you're doing and find new kind of forms or structures to do your music. So we wanted to do a narrative album as our next album, and so we had done this project that was called Annette. It was 9 years ago, and we thought we could actually tour with it, and that I would be doing the Adam Driver character, the stand-up comedian. Ron would be the Simon character, doing the conductor, and that we would have an opera singer join us live to do this as a live theatrical presentation, doing the Marianne role. And we had that project done, and the album was complete. We thought it would be Sparks' next album. And then we came to Cannes 8 years ago, and we wanted to meet Leos because he was kind enough to use one of Sparks' older songs, How Are You Getting Home, in his last movie, in Holy Motors. And so it was arranged to say hello, and we loved Leos's films for a start, and when we met Leos, he didn't let us down for what we imagined him to be, and so we really got along well with him just in our little brief get-together here at Cannes 8 years ago. And we got back to LA, we said, God, we have this thing, Annette, and just out of curiosity, we thought we'd send it to Leos, not expecting anything, not even asking for anything, just because Leos had expressed that he liked what our group does. And so we sent it to Leos, and after a little bit, he responded favorably, but said he, liked to think about it, and got back to us and said he'd like to make this be his next film, and so we were astounded because we respect Leos's work so much, and just to do a movie musical with him was like a dream for us. So 8 years later, in questions of producers and all of that, but that stuff aside, it was a period of 8 years that we worked with Leos, sometimes in Paris, sometimes in Los Angeles where we live, and it was just a process of kind of refining what we had originally done and shaping it more into, Leos is the director, and having it be his take on what we had originally, the seed of what we had originally done. And so it was this process of 8 years of kind of refining, and it was an amazing thing, because at that time it was really the three of us, and we were kind of, we owe Leos just for his kind of focus for 8 years. We're always determined when we do projects, but to find a soulmate that also dedicated 8 years of his life to kind of making this project happen. It's a rare thing, and he had the same kind of focus and dedication in the project that, for us to be here at Cannes now with this it's just amazing. So did I answer the question? I forgot what the question was, but anyway.
Just one brief thing that we had a discussion very early on with Leos just about our views of what a movie musical sensibility should be, and the one issue that Leos brought up and that we were happy to hear, because it's kind of a shared belief, is that the characters should be sincere in what they're saying, that they shouldn't be distanced or winking at all, and that's really important and kind of separates it from so many other kind of modern musicals where there's kind of a naturalistic, I mean, obviously any movie musical is artificial in a certain sense, but the characters are naturalistic within that setting more than in kind of older Hollywood musical films.
And Leos also shared that, I'm speaking for Leos, but he can tell me if I'm wrong, but shared just the philosophy about musicals too, where, it was decided kind of just by the nature of the project too, that to avoid a lot of what we thought, at least, the cliches of a movie musical of, the Hollywood sort of, a Broadway sort of approach where it's breaking into song and choreographed, numbers and all of that. It wasn't even really discussed. I think we were just on the same wavelength about the project, that it would be kind of a different take on doing a movie musical, and we found obviously a kindred spirit in that approach.
Leos, do you want to talk about the music? Leos? For me, with Mauvais Son, the David Bowie was so striking. The music has always been, you've given music a place in your films that's rarely seen on screen. Can you talk about what drew you to musical, I'm not going to call it a comedy, but a musical film?
I think it comes from this frustration of, not being a musician, not being one of the brothers, the third brother, or not being, composer, singer, musician, not being able to go around the world with a little instrument or your voice, or you just what you hear and then compose. Cinema is, music rejected me when I was a kid. I'm not good with it. And then I went to cinema, but there's always been and I feel with cinema, I guess I feel like at times I feel like I can compose something, or I can, thought was miraculous was that this, you know, from when I was discovered David Bowie and the Brothers was about the same time when I was 13 or 14, and so I felt at home with their music so much, which made it possible. You know, I always wanted to do a film with music, in music, or whatever you call it, but I always thought it would be impossible because I never thought, you know, how do you talk with, so if you don't compose music, how do you, it's like with light, with Caroline, you know, I can't do anything on the film. I can't hold the camera, I can't light, I can't take the sound, I can't compose the music. You have to meet people. You have to meet people who make it happen. And I thought it would never happen with music, but it did.
Fantastic. Thank you. A question on the left.
Bonjour, je suis Chiara Ugolini,
Chiara Ugolini, La Repubblica. I have a question for Marion Cotillard. What is your relationship to the opera in the film? There are some beautiful characters, Tosca and others.
Et la différence avec un autre projet où la voix était très importante.
In this project, the voice was very important. And there was another project where we heard the voice of Edith Piaf. It was a very different thing. I wasn't very familiar with the opera. When I was about 15 years old, I listened to Carmen a lot. I saw the film, in fact, and I loved the music. I saw my first opera when I was preparing for the film Annette, and it was a real shock. I was deeply shaken and moved by the voice, by something that I don't even know how to explain. Opera singers have a very special relationship with emotions. Emotions transform their voice. So everything is channeled into the voice and not elsewhere. An opera singer can't sing and cry at the same time. Everything is conveyed by the voice. But when you're so very excellent, and it's the same thing that happens for the spectator, it's a very, very powerful feeling. So I learned much more about the opera while I was preparing for Annette. Now, as to the second part of your question, I cannot compare films because I don't think you can compare films. And I don't know what to say. In La Môme, I didn't sing myself. What they have in common is that both films are full of excellent music. Thank you.
A question on the right here.
Hi, Gunnar Relin from Sweden. A question for Russell and Ron. You talked about previously you thought of taking the music on the road. Do you have any plans on doing that now? Have you thought of how it would look, and are you planning a soundtrack album?
For Annette, a soundtrack? Yep. There is a soundtrack album, yeah. There's one that's out now that's sort of a highlights of the album. It's called Can Edition, and it has 15 pieces, but there will be soon the entire soundtrack as well for all of the pieces. I think there's 42 pieces of music in the film, and no, I mean we don't have immediate plans of Annette live, but at some point in the future it would be something that we could explore. It would be interesting, yeah, to do it, yeah.
As long as Leos CARAX it.
On the left, Madame.
Oui. Bonjour.
Hello.
I'm going to speak in French. So, Elie Mastorou pour Métro, Belgique.
I have a question from Belgium. I have a question to Mr. CARAX, if you want to round it off. The story was proposed by the Sparks, contrary to preceding films, but I'd like to know how you really espoused this story. How did it appeal to your artistic and poetic background?
So yeah.
Well, you know,
the three things that this gift Russell and Ron gave me, what I consider a gift of Annette. There were three gifts, actually. There was music, there was English language, which was my first language, although I've lost it a bit. And there was the fact that I didn't imagine it, they did, which is very liberating. And the three things were liberating. I always wanted to make a film in English. I love English, obviously. I only read in English, I don't read in French. I've been listening to, obviously, to American and English singers. So the fact that I didn't imagine Annette was, I guess, how you work on an opera. You get a libretto, how do you call it?
Yeah.
Livret?
Yeah.
Libretto. And then you you fuck with your mind and you try to create a world. But in what the brothers gave me, there was everything. There was Henry, there was Anne, there was the baby, there was Simon, there was, then we had to invent these characters. We had to, who is Anne, who is Henry, who is Simon, what kind of stand-up, what kind of opera, and that baby, of course. We had to create that baby who can sing from 0 to 6 years old. But, I don't know if, I can't talk about obsessions and stuff. So I don't know that I do when I can, and so it's a strange film because it's a mix of many people getting focused, and of course Marion, Simon, and Adam, because Adam was there from the beginning. So in a way, I managed the film for him. We met later. And Simon too, but Adam was there 7 years ago, I think, or 8 years, I don't know. So it's also nice when you know who you're imagining a film for, which is usually what I did before, because I don't use many actors, I use the same ones again and again. So I know, I can imagine someone, not just anyone. So, yeah, I don't know if I answered the question. But.
Can I also just add, too, briefly, when we first had been, conceived it, that it was sort of in 2D, two-dimensional, because it was an audio recording, and even though we had plans at some point to try to maybe stage it, we obviously never saw what it was going to look like. And so when Leos entered the picture, it took this massive detour in a positive way, where scenes that we had done originally, but they were musical only, like take like the scene on the boat during the storm, we could only in our minds imagine what it would look like. And then when Leos then and everybody involved with the film, kind of took it to this other level that we could never have imagined. And just that scene for us is kind of just so beautiful. And, like Leos's decision of how to, for instance, how to shoot that scene, whether it's going to be on an ocean or whether it's going to be sort of maybe more, I don't know, artificial, but in this beautiful way, was his, obviously his doing. And so things like that we originally saw only in our heads. Then Leos kind of, took it to this other kind of level of that we could never have imagined, and it just the beauty of scenes like that for us was just staggering.
Also, the characters, since it was a theatrical idea, the characters were more two-dimensional, and so Leos really brought out the three-dimensionality of all of the characters, making them more rounded than sketchy, which was a part of the original version, but kind of more theater-like in our concept, but the characters became a lot richer, much richer.
Simon, Marion, could I ask about that, about Leos's way of working with you in pre-production, talking to you about the character and on set, what he was telling you?
During preparation, he gave me footages of a specific moment. Actually, we talked about love, about those characters and how they meet and how we see the very beginning of their love story. And it was this, on this footage, she gives an interview with an actor she's in love with. And it's very interesting what you can see when she's not talking, when she's just looking at him. So it was this feeding that was very important. And on set, his spirit is in everything. I think it's in the furniture, in the people, in everything, in the ideas. This idea of, well, now I guess we can talk about it, but of the kid, which was a big part of preparation, because I had to. Well, the people who created this kid manipulated it, but Adam and I had to manipulate the kid sometimes. And everything was so rich already in the script and in what Leos had created, that we actually didn't need to talk much. I mean, the direction was so hard to talk about that. No, he was just asking me to do things, and I did them. Basically.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it was kind of like, going to set was kind of like going to church. It felt very profound and quiet and mystical and demanding, and in a beautiful way. Leos would ask me to do certain things like that were just impossible physically. Sometimes lift a hand off the piano while you're playing, and then lift your other hand off. I said, well, then you want me to play the piano with no hands? And he said, you do not want to disappoint your French director, do you? I think I got that in an email one time, so. Who does want to disappoint their French director? Not me.
Actually, every day we had to face difficulties. Not that Leos wants to put us in a situation like this. It's not like you're willing, but every day was like singing while smoking is well, you cannot imagine it, how hard it is. But at the same time, it was, you never knew what the day would look like. And even when you thought, oh, well, today it's, I don't see where it's going to be difficult. And then suddenly you're on like 30 centimeters heels and you need to sing on like this path and not watching where you go. Actually, this is the only one time I said that I couldn't do it, like that it was not possible. I was so scared I would fail and break my leg or something. But yeah, every day was a surprise, and but at the same time, something that was so deep that we would do. Yeah, basically, we would do anything he asked.
You want me to sing underwater? Yes, I do. Okay then.
Question on the right.
Bonjour.
Hello, I have a question for Leos CARAX. I come from Chile. The scenario is very innovative, but the story is quite conservative. This artist becomes very violent. The film seems quite indulgent when it comes to the violence of this artist. Violence is a source of creation. Is that how you view it?
Non, mais...
No?
Non, enfin, je vois pas...
No.
Le cinéma comme indulgent.
I don't view the cinema as being indulgent in any manner. What is definite?
C'est ma vision.
Is that's my vision.
Que ce que le cinéma
a violence.
Met en scène.
What cinema
pardonne,
depicts, condemns, pardons.
Les films étant faits
films
en grande majorité par les hommes,
are largely made by men,
par les hommes blancs,
white men.
Tout ça est en train de changer un peu.
Of course, this is in the course of changing to a degree.
Donc là, c'est la vision.
This film is one vision of a man
un mauvais père, on pourrait dire.
Who's a bad father, if you like, a bad person, a bad husband, a bad artist.
Mais c'est comme si moi-même, je voudrais voir plein de
But it's as though
d'autres versions de cette histoire faites par d'autres.
There could be many other versions of the same story.
C'est pas une histoire d'indulgence.
It's not a question of indulgence.
Un film n'est pas un procès.
The film is not a trial either. What the film tends to say a little bit
Il faut se battre, mais
is that you have to fight,
il faut faire attention à,
but you have to be careful.
Parce que dans la condamnation,
because
par exemple, est-ce qu'on veut que les gens finissent leur vie en prison, même
say, do we want people to end up spending their life in prison? Sometimes a person is his or her worst enemy. I don't think we think about the whole story today.
Thank you. Yes, one last question over here on the left.
Hello, Stephen from Belgium. I don't know how far you want to get into this, but a question about the real star of the movie, Annette. Was it the design? What was it? What was it like for the actors to work with her? For the brothers, how did you? Was it a surprise for you to actually get to see her? And what was the design like for you, Leos? Thank you.
Well, the whole film became possible when, obviously, I didn't know how to do Annette. Nobody, how do you do this little girl? And then, you do as usual. you say no, no, no to certain things, and then you focus. No to animatronic, no to 3D, no to virtual imagery, or whatever. Then you're left with a puppet. I knew nothing about puppets, but so then you try to meet people to go into. And then I met two young puppeteers here in France, Estelle and Romuald, and they made the film possible. I had tried puppets in LA because the film was American first. Then I had tried puppets in Tokyo because it's a Japanese co-production. But I could never see Annette, and it's only with these young people in France that I started to think, okay, this film is possible with them. Because I wanted Annette to be on the shoot. I wanted to, to be in the arms of the actors, and I needed to see her and to touch her. She couldn't be post-production or anything. And then we started falling in love with this little girl, and then in the course of the thing, I decided, okay, we're going to bring her back. We have to find a real little girl, like in Pinocchio. She has to become a real little girl, and then you have to find this impossible little girl, 4 years old, who can sing and confront Adam Driver. And I need to go piss, but I'll be back.
I'd like to thank our guests so much for coming to talk with the film. The film's over.
Yeah, you too.